It's Reality Check with Craig Price.
I'm an idiot.
4 minutes in and I'm already wrong.
I'm like a monkey. Hello, look at me.
You're like a beautiful mind. I'm more like Forrest Gump.
So it's,
Craig Price is the man.
I knew it. Craig, shut up.
It's Reality Check with Craig Price. This week, Anastasia Turchetta is here for her annual dental health checkup. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Before we begin, a quick reminder that we're needing reviews. If you like the show, please go on iTunes and leave a review. It helps people find our show, as the more reviews you have, the more your show will appear in searches. And also, we're always looking for guests, so please email me your guest suggestions to Craig@speakercraigprice.com. And that's enough of that right now. So each year, during my annual pilgrimage to the National Speakers Association's convention, I always sit down with Anastasia to talk about what's what in dental news. This year, while we were recording the podcast, Anastasia did a live stream on Facebook, so this will explain a few instances of her talking to people online while we're doing the interview. It was an interesting experience, and it was cool to see this graph of viewership when you rewatch the video, so you can see what sections have more people watching and where do they tune out and such. But today isn't a Facebook Live podcast. It's a dental health podcast with America's dental hygienist, Anastasia Turchetta.
Well, it's that time of year again. It's NSA convention. It's hotter than hell here in Arizona. It's Phoenix. I think today was 115.
I think you're right.
And so
Absolutely.
the lovely voice of Anastasia Turchetta, America's dental hygienist. And before we start, I want to congratulate you. Just got married on the 3rd of August.
Yes.
To a great guy.
Yes.
Whose last name is similar to mine. So now
It is.
So now I can always just kind of throw the P in front of that and we can pretend that we're married.
You can. Yes. And I might even take the slogan even, outside of that for rice is twice as rice. You never know. We could make it work.
Yeah, we have to work on that. But one of the great things that you've started since last time we've talked is you are doing these coffee chats.
Yes.
They seem, and you can correct me on what they are. They seem to me live interviews on stage for associations that you deal with.
They are.
And
yes.
that's fantastic because I am super jealous because you have earned your place on the stage doing these interviews.
Thank you.
And I would love to be able to do that on a more regular basis. I get to do it from time to time, but you really have worked hard to do this. Explain what they are and how coffee and dentistry connect. Because I'm thinking
you're not supposed to drink coffee.
I'm thinking you're not supposed to.
Yes. You know what? Thank you so much for even saying that. It's, Coffee Chat with Anastasia is pretty much... It was an idea that I saw at dental conventions, at any convention. So how could you do it? How could anybody do it? The first thing is you walk the floors of your convention and you notice who the vendors are and you make a connection. And for me, in order to make that connection, it felt important that I learned about their product. And if I believed in it, I used a video blog because I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to look at, I have to look over here, but the first thing, no one looks good in those lights. No one looks good.
It's that horrible fluorescent that's 10 miles in the air.
It's awful. It's
it's
absolutely awful. And, there's a lot of people doing video blogging or live video, quick sales pitches, and everybody knows that I love Starbucks. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we took a person outside of the exhibit hall and we had a chat? And it doesn't have to be coffee because there's a lot of people who are very healthy and they'll drink green tea or whatever.
Coffee is just the
yes.
It's the segue. It's basically drinking. And it could be anything. Could be maybe someday you'll turn into Kathy
wine
Lee and
chat.
Kathy Lee and Coda and have wine up there.
I'm open for that suggestion.
Drunken mumbling with Anastasia Turchetta.
You never know. Many people may think that anyway, So I just started pitching it to different people because I know vendors pay for advertising. And my particular audience, I felt needed, and I felt that they deserved to know, okay, I don't want it to be a pitch. I want people to see dentistry as human beings and literally instead of it being so clinical. And for me, it was just one of those things like, okay, if you take somebody out of their environment and you get them coffee and you sit down and you have a chat, how cool is that? And it has taken off. And the brand, obviously, Coffee Chat with Anastasia, I felt important. And we just, I do it on site. I'll do it virtually. Whatever way I can make and add value for that client and then pump that out in social media is really been beneficial.
Yeah, because I'm super jealous because you're doing what I do, but you're doing it in front of people and you're getting paid, and I'm so proud of you because it's a great thing that you're really good at. And the Hump Day happenings is something you've put in time. We've talked about that in
It
years
is.
past.
Yes.
So it's not like something that just kind of overnight you've done this. This took some time.
It did. And the first thing was, it was in 2009 is when I started Hump Day Happenings, which is a regular weekly video blog on YouTube. And it may be important for people, you may have to read some of these. It may be important for people to understand when you have your YouTube channel. Hump Day Happenings for me, it's not sponsored. I do not get paid for it. I mention products. It is dental related and I answer questions. Here's what you may not know is the fact that when corporate situations or corporate looks at you, sometimes because you're being sassy, and I'm not saying that I'm cussing like a sailor or a truck driver, you really need to recognize that they're going to watch that and they may not see a coffee chat with Anastasia. So make your playlists and also have them understand, okay, you got Ellen on stage as a comedian, which is very different from Ellen, the talk show host. And that's an important way to brand yourself.
Right, because I know that when I do some interviews, I usually follow the lead of my guest, and sometimes they're like with some actors that I've done, they get real relaxed and they start to swear, and so it's no big deal. So I make
like
sure
a sailor,
right? But I make sure that those are labeled so they know, and it's not normal. But I'm also not afraid to go there because some people like that, though.
Some people do.
So it's one of those weird things to balance out. Do you be sassy or do you rein it in a little bit? To make sure you don't offend anybody. And so sometimes you got to play that balance because you want to be true to yourself, but you also want to make sure you don't alienate too many people.
Exactly, because Hump Day Happenings is what got me noticed to begin with. And I feel it's really important that your viewers, as you know, those who are watching us
Is that
here,
my wife? What does she say right there?
I have no idea. I need my reading glasses.
Something about I commented on something, so I'm already upsetting my wife. And for the listeners who don't understand, we're doing a live Facebook feed at the same thing.
We are. So please keep commenting. This is awesome.
So I may throw in some questions from them as well.
Yes. You know, but the thing, I mean, when you're looking at Hump Day Happenings, your question was, should it, do you continue to be sassy? I feel it's really important, especially on video, especially as a professional, because you have a lot of millennials who are excellent at this also, is you have to be true to you, and your job is to make them feel like that they know you. You're approachable, you can be funny, and then, obviously you can take that to a different, I don't like saying the next level because it's so cliche.
Well, no, but like for myself, because I think I know what you're trying to say is, especially like myself, I'm sarcastic, and that yeah, a little bit, but I also do it in a way that doesn't really rub people wrong too hard because they can see the intent behind it.
Yes.
And not everybody's good at sarcasm. So people like the fact that I'm sarcastic, but they also know that I won't take it so far where I'm offending people.
Right.
But they like that edginess, I guess. I don't even really call it edgy because I'm not like saying anything outlandish, but they like that feel. So it's that balance. You have to find what's true to you without being too offensive.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, is not only it goes back to even what we've said is to know your audience. So when you see Hump Day Happenings, I'm literally answering all y'all's comments on dental health, wellness, and, now Coffee Chat is specific. I'm there to inform you on a specific procedure, service, product.
Or person.
Correct.
Well, while you're here, because we always do our dental checkup.
This is awesome.
I'm due for mine in about 2 weeks. It's like a day before my birthday. Happy birthday to me, getting nothing poked
Cheers
and prodded.
to your wellness.
Every 6 months.
Yes.
Because I have horrible habits. At least I know it, and I try to be proactive.
You are proactive.
I pay more for it. So
you do, and you have all of your teeth, and they look great.
I do have all of my teeth.
Yes.
I at some point I need to get them slightly straighter and a slightly wider, but not so much so they look like.
I know a dentist named Rice in Buffalo.
Well, I will be in Buffalo in September, so maybe we can do something on the side. But you're here because I want to know about the newest things.
Oh my, here we go. You ready?
So one thing that we both saw, it just happened a couple weeks ago, and I actually sent it to you.
You did.
Was about this new antimicrobial liquid that they've been using on children.
Yes.
To stop tooth decay. So I guess, and it's painless.
It is painless.
So apparently they shoot liquid on top of the cavity. It fills the cavity, eats the bacteria, and that's it?
Yes. And you know what? I'm glad that you asked that. And it's amazing to me because I did a lot of research on it. So here's what we know. I know David commented, so if your eyes can read that up, mine cannot. It's silver diamine fluoride, or SDF. And what that is it is a liquid. So it's made of silver, which actually kills the bacteria that are eating at your tooth.
Well, that's why they used to put silver in for fillings, because it wouldn't get so infected
Yes.
anyways, right?
So what happens, and it's kind of cool. So they do just dop this. You have to watch. So originally it was supposed to be, and it does have an FDA approval. So it's got an FDA approval, but get this, for hypersensitivity or, sensitivity to cold or hot, that quick zing that you would get.
I had it with chocolate for a little bit, but it was a cavity. I would bite into a specific chocolate, and the chocolate would wedge into the, because you bite, and I would go,
yeah.
ooh, and I'm like, I'll just keep eating it, crying, but I kept on eating it because it's
I would have moved it
chocolate.
to the other side because chocolate is a food group.
It was on the other side, too.
Okay. Well,
This is before I had all the good stuff done.
Well, I'm glad you had the good stuff done, because getting to the good stuff. So SDF, what's really cool about it is you have to watch how much you place. So I think the message is, does it help? Yes. It arrests decay. And what is decay? It is a chronic active infection. This is bacteria that is eating at your child's teeth. It's eating away at our elders, because more and more people are going into an assisted living home, a nursing home, or hospice. And we have to really consider that, because a lot of people have dry mouth.
Well, I can't think of, there's so many instances where I've heard of elderly people in hospice or just in an old folks home, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it, where they get abscesses. That's like the number one thing I hear, is because they're not taking care of their teeth, and
Right.
nobody pays attention. The next thing you know,
It's hard for people to go in there, and it's hard for them to get a van to take them out. So this would be something that it's not a quick fix. So let me just share that with the audience who's watching. It's not a quick fix. It is faster. Here's the deal. You have to watch how much you place in the tooth. So if you have 3 active sites of decay, then you have to come back for that. So it's not like it's a one and done.
you don't rinse it like mouthwash and
You
spit it
don't
out.
rinse it. That's the thing I think people may not understand, because when you see it, you're like, oh, awesome.
Just
They're
hose
just
it
going to
down and
spread
we're
some
good.
liquid and I'm done. And it does eat, and it arrests the decay, which is amazing. So what happens is it oozes down into the tooth, and then it basically kills the bacteria in the dentin tubules. And the dentin tubules look like little straws, and they're filled with fluid. And what happens is that can go to the nerve of the tooth. So the fluid moves, and it moves a certain way, and that's why you have tooth sensitivity. Do you know what I mean? So it's like those little straws when you would have the liquid in it or something. Think of it that way. Okay. So it's plugging it up, and it makes, it stops the decay. Now, here's the thing. It stops the decay. We have to learn to manage the decay. What I would like for this to do is to bring your child in, and you'll have to likely bring them in for another application in 6 months. What if we started to arrest the lifestyle or rehabilitate the parents and the child as to what is causing the decay? So you can arrest it, but it's going to come back in some other way. And I think that might be the message that people don't see. Bad thing, it stains your teeth black, and it will stain your gums. The gums will slough off, and skin, I'd say like 14 days.
Okay, so it's like but the teeth, how long does that?
Forever.
So you'll have black teeth forever.
You will have, wherever that is placed, as far as decay, yes, it will be black
Can
forever.
you get an applique later on and bleach it out, or not veneers, but like some kind of, I want to say, teeth paint, where they can kind of like spackle or just kind of cover it up. You get someone who's really good at what they do and just kind of place it.
I believe with what they're using it now is the fact they're using it for kids to keep their teeth. So that's the first thing. So they'll probably lose those teeth that turn black, wherever the decay was. If they're going to use it on our aging, what I believe will happen is those individuals may not make it out.
That's
you know what
cosmetic.
I mean?
They're just thankful to have it.
They've had to profile people for this. It's a great idea. They're also using it with fluoride varnish, so that's fantastic too. They're going to try and use it with stannous fluoride. Great product. Stannous is an amazing fluoride. So it just depends on are you an extreme risk? Are you at a moderate risk, high risk, or low risk for caries? Obviously, we wouldn't see that. They're targeting it for kids, like if they don't have access to sealants, which would be ideal, because no one wants a black tooth. I don't care you can't make that pretty. You just can't make it pretty.
No.
And if you're an adult and you already have a crown, it depends. It depends on the material, but the point is the silver will kill the active bacteria eating at your tooth. And that's the important thing to think about.
Okay, because I think a lot of people just want that quick fix, because we hate
Who
the
doesn't
dentist.
want the quick fix?
So we're hoping.
I want the quick fix.
So the way they preface the article, or at least they headline the article, which
Yes.
I don't blame the writer because they don't make the headlines, but it's like,
Yeah.
hey, if you have cavities, this will fix it, and you don't have to worry about cavities anymore.
Yes.
And-
Yeah, they do, because they want you to read the article. And you know what? It's faster. Yes, it is faster. You don't have to numb the tooth. You don't have to, experience anything uncomfortable, so it's faster. Yet, and it's cheaper. I think it costs like about $25 compared to a filling. But why don't we get to the source of the problem, people? The lifestyle. Why don't we educate the parents and rehabilitate?
Because that's too easy. Because it's too easy just to let the kids go to the dentist and one trip, shoot them with a liquid, and they don't.
But
think
they
that
have to
way.
come back.
Yeah, but they don't think that they have to come back anyways. It's the dentist. You have to go back.
True. Now the target
I
audience.
have to go back 6 months whether they say, hey, no cavities, Craig.
I'd
or
like
not.
for them all to come back, but
Yeah.
I'm not thinking they're going to come back. But yeah, I mean, it's so anyway, I find it super interesting. The one that was approved in the U.S. is Advantage Arrest. I don't know this company, but just to let you know, and there's a code out for it. So if anybody does have health insurance, they started to do that in 2016. So you should ask people about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you never know, right? It's just one of those things.
Well, the other thing that we've talked about this in the past, but I think when we talked about it, I think it was like 2 years ago, things have changed quite a bit, and that's about e-cigs.
Oh, yes.
Because I think when we were talking, it was more about, is it worse than smoking, or is it...
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
It's all good.
Is it
Just
worse
saw
than
that.
smoking, or is it the same? We don't care about that anymore because I think it's just as bad, and I think they've proven it's just as bad. But now we're worried about things blowing up in your mouth, people's tongues being caught
Like the
on fire.
hoverboards, you know?
It is. It's exactly the
kind of
same
like
thing.
a hoverboard.
It's a hoverboard. It's blowing up in your face.
But it'll mess up your image, and we'll need to refer to Sylvie on that one.
So what's going on with e-cigs? That have they improved them at all? Have you found that there's ways to prevent a lot of this stuff that's happening?
Improvement. I mean, you know, they have gone through so many generations of e-cigs. It's amazing. It would boggle your mind. So I'm just going to give you some statistics because you can buy this stuff anywhere. So from first generation on.
Well, that's the problem. Is that most of the stuff that's blowing up is not like approved. It's like these. And, to all
Yeah.
my Chinese listeners, I apologize, but I'm not going to. Sorry, hashtag sorry, not sorry. People are buying cheap.
Just saying.
People are buying cheap versions of e-cigs,
Yes.
and that's what's the problem. Is that they're blowing up because
That-
they're not approved.
Correct. And then when I was reading stuff, you know, for this podcast, actually, it was amazing to me because they were saying, hey, it's not our fault. It's not our fault. It is the user's fault. And, you know, let's stop placing fault when your face is being blown up.
It's your fault.
Let's, you know, how about we look at the problem, stop whoever has this contaminated, you know, whatever brand it is, because there's certain brands, and why don't we find that? It's like anything else. Why don't we go to the problem and solve it instead of blame throwing?
Well, I think a lot of it's off-brand stuff. It's not the brand cigarette e-cigs. That it's
Yeah.
these cheaper knockoffs that are not, like I said, they're not quality tested. They don't pass inspections and all that stuff. They're just like knockoffs that are gonna fry your face.
That's first, yes.
So what happens when a e-cig blows up? What is going to be the consequences for someone when they go to the dentist, besides the fact they go to the emergency room and get their tongue grafted? Now we got to go see, I don't know, maybe we go see your new husband. And what's he going to do to correct a lot of that stuff?
You know, it's a very good question, actually. I don't have the answer. I don't know. I've never seen anybody, and I don't believe he has seen anybody who has had that.
Well, see,
but to be sure, you're going to have to see an oral surgeon.
Yeah, because
because plastic surgery is going to have to happen.
We'll say at least a tooth flies off.
Oh, yes.
So if it's in the front, we got to stick a post in there, stick a tooth.
Dental implant, ideally, you know, but you need to make sure that the rest of the, you know, of your oral health is healthy. So people who are smoking e-cigs, when was the last time, you know, that they went in for their wellness visit with their dental hygienist? Were they previous smokers? And if they were previous smokers, have they taken care of it? Because usually most of those individuals are at risk for oral cancer or for gum disease, and we'll usually see gum disease. Well, what I find interesting is the fact, like, I guess using this podcast as a platform is to even just, you know, NSA listeners out there, people who are alive listening out there, ask your dental hygienist and dentist. We should be discussing this with our patients because they don't know what side effects are. And they're going to say, my kids, they are not going to do any e-cigs. But the truth is, CDC says 2.4 million at least in 2014 were using e-cigs in middle school and in high school. That's a lot of kids because here's the deal. They're going to get away with it because they can't. It doesn't smell. Your parents aren't going to smell it in your hair like back in the day. Do you remember back in the day we go out and, you know, be like cigar man? You smell the smoke in your hair.
No, I was a good
smell
kid.
on your pillow. Oh, okay.
I didn't smoke. I didn't start smoking until I moved to New York when I was I didn't start smoking until I was in my 20s.
Oh, and I didn't do anything like that either until I was 21 and legal.
No, I
You know.
I just didn't until I moved away from town. I just and then I got into the bad crowd at the comedy clubs.
Yes. But this, I mean, the thing for kids is the fact that, you know what, they're going to get away with it because their parents will never know. Here's the other thing that they should know is a lot of times it's like your e-juice, nicotine. Now, I'm not bashing because like, hey,
E-juice.
e-ciggers that are watching, stop calling me the rat and everything. But I'm here to inform you. I'm not here to judge you. But you do need
Let
to
me
know.
do the judging. I'm very good at that.
You need to know if you're on an e-cigarette to quit, the amount of nicotine must be, going away because nicotine is so highly addictive. It's like the second highly addictive substance you could put in your body. And no, not next to coffee. Just so we're clear, everybody.
I have an extremely dirty
So
answer
we're
to
clear.
that I'm not going to say.
But yeah, so I mean, the kids are getting addicted, and then people who are on the e-cigs, they don't go off of it because I'll bet you if you ask them, most of them still have at least some part of nicotine in it. E-juices, you're going to have an expense.
And say e-juices. It just
E-juices,
sounds gross.
e-liquids, whatever you'd like to say.
I know,
I mean,
but
they're
e-juices
all...
is just, that doesn't sound. It just sounds awful.
We could make it healthy somehow.
What are you smoking? E-juices.
E-juices. I got e-juices, The concern is I got a whole array of them, which, I mean, you would be surprised at how much they cost, what's in them. Speaking of that, it's amazing. E-liquid, all that stuff.
Is there a difference between vaping and e-cigarettes, or are they the same thing? They're just
They're
different
pretty much
ways?
the same. It's just a different brand, different company. So
Okay.
some of them have a battery pack, like our phones, and you can tell the people who may still have like the nicotine that they're addicted to because when the battery starts to run out, they've got to recharge the battery. And interestingly enough, like if you do have nicotine, you have to pay attention to how many puffs you're using. So to encourage somebody, if they're using, how strong is the battery pack? Because you could, out of so many puffs, it depends upon how the type of e-cigarette that you're using, but you could still easily smoke as much of this as a pack of cigarettes a day.
So a friend of mine, because it's a perfect example is a friend of mine switched from smoking cigarettes, which he smoked like a pack a day, to these little cigarellos.
Yes.
But he only smoked 2 or 3. And so his mind, and then it ended up being him smoking them like they were smoking cigarettes. But in his mind, because he was only smoking 2 or 3,
Yes.
it's not nearly as bad as cigarettes, which is not true because it's not the same thing. They're not equal. They're the same size. That's
Correct.
all. And so he thought, but it actually was much worse for him because not
Yeah.
only was he getting this ash, but then he's getting the tobacco is
Yeah.
sitting on his lips, which is bad.
Correct. And I think the thing, I mean, maybe for people who are listening and joining in, and yeah, click that. Whoever just clicked that, you keep clicking that. That helps us out.
I have no idea what
We
that
want
means.
to see the little blue thing going through on the screen. And for those who are listening, they're watching live. So tap that screen. Give us all the likes that you can. It's branding. Okay, so, it was a good point what you said because I think the misconception is, yes, our cigarettes, do they have more ingredients that are harmful? Absolutely. The thing that I'm concerned about is A, we don't know what vaping is going to do to your oral tissues. Being, a lot of times what you will see is it looks like a chemical burn and people don't pay attention to that. So one of the things that many people who do vape, it'll be on their palate, it could be on their gums, but it's like a chemical burn. And they don't treat it, they don't think anything. They can get ulcers because of the different types of ingredients that are in the e-liquids. I hope that helped you out better.
That's much better
The
than-
e-liquids.
yeah.
And, there's, at the end of the day, if they still have nicotine, it's still an addiction.
And I think
So they're not off of it.
And while I think that, and this is just me speculating, but while they may not have as many bad ingredients,
Correct.
they have more intense. The one ingredient that's horrible. So you're like mainlining
Yes.
nicotine versus
Yes.
there's some nicotine and some tar and some other stuff.
Correct.
So I think you're doing just as much damage, only in a different way.
Well, and you're also, now I will say, there we are. I will say it's cheaper. So if you're talking, what's the expense? You'll probably save per year about 60%, maybe 58% of what you would if you were regularly smoking a cigarette, which that's awesome. Yet you're still going to be spending money on an addictive substance that we're trying to get you off of. So if you think about nicotine Nicorette, or I can't remember the patch, that a lot of people have
Nicorette
used.
had a patch. I think they just made gum too. Wasn't it a Nicorette patch?
I think you're right. And then there's another one that we used to prescribe for individuals. I can't think of that, but that actually got you off of nicotine. And that's the whole point, is to get you off of nicotine. Now, there have been studies that there are cellular changes, and that's not good because obviously I'm thinking oral cancer. So here's what I would encourage people to do is to just pay attention to what's going on if you're just starting this. If you're starting e-cigs and you're thinking, I'm going to get off of nicotine, get off of nicotine. Then you're going to have to worry about, like, a lot of people like that feeling in their mouth. So it's a habit. They call
an
it
oral
oral
fixation.
fixation,
Yeah.
and they just got to have it. So find something else to fixate on. Okay, that's pretty much where I'm coming from. But the other thing to look for, is for xerostomia, and that's dry mouth.
What is that? Xerostomia?
Yeah. So people who are vaping, they will likely experience xerostomia. So when that happens, and we were talking about decay with the STF earlier with the silver, it's important to ask your dental hygienist or ask your dentist, okay, I have xerostomia, I'm vaping, what can I do? Because we will likely then place you on a prescription fluoride mouthwash so we can help arrest the decay because, by
You're
this
not doing
point,
it.
yeah. I mean, you just want to make sure that they are healthy because your spit's really important. It should be, we've talked about that before.
Sure. Spit,
So-
as much as we don't like it, spit is very important.
It's
And
very
that's-
important.
And let's talk about that because one of the things I wanted to talk about because for me, it's allergy season.
Yes.
And what happens with me is I get that post-nasal,
Yes.
and that causes some horrible. Somebody who thinks a cat died in the house. But what did I do? What did I do right before we went on here?
Can I be straight up
Go
with
around,
you?
I guzzled a pint
He did.
of mouthwash to make sure
You guzzled a pint.
that you would be okay with me less than a foot away from your face talking. Because I wanted to be.
And I get it. I get that. And
But that was a quick fix. I know.
it's a quick fix because I'm going to say that
but I'm
there's
out of
probably
town, too.
alcohol in it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
That's why I swallowed and didn't spit it out.
Wouldn't you rather have a cocktail?
If I could have. But again,
You were interviewing me, so
I
you
wanted,
might have won.
I wanted to be somewhat sober.
Yes.
Because I got to be a little quick with you.
You are.
But I mean, the problem I have, I know that it's when allergies happen.
Yeah.
That it starts to go to the back, and unless I'm out of town, so it's not like I have all the access to my normal
Right,
stuff.
right.
I may not have the regular medications, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How do we prevent? What causes it most of the time, and how do we prevent
Bad
it?
breath.
Yeah.
Big topic. Listen up and just tap that screen, please. Give me those likes. Ask those questions so Craig can read them.
So is this what you do when you
We're
do these?
still live.
When you do a Facebook Live, you just beg for
I'm
likes?
just, no, I haven't started to beg yet. That will happen.
You
though.
just did.
I'm open to it.
So you've now premiered
So-
begging on my podcast?
I have.
Okay.
There you go. And if this works, then you can beg too. We can make begging a brand. There you go. Beggingforlikes.com. Okay, bad breath. Here's what you need to know about bad breath. And especially being a speaker, and I have what I call OME, oral malodor etiquette. Okay, so speakers here in NSA, listen up because we're all going to be talking to each other. But what causes it? So there's a lot of things that you can think about. It could be a lot of medical issues, but 99% of the time, it's usually what we call VSCs, volatile sulfur compounds. And they smell like sulfur, which smells like what? Crap, right? So most of it's going to be, it does. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, people.
You got a crap mouth.
So a lot of people don't understand. They're just like, yeah, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Think about this. So what you were saying about post-nasal drip, people understand that. But a lot of people too, they now know what a stink bug is. So I like to explain it to people. So stink bug, he's in his own little environment. He's crawling along. He's having fun. It's all good. But when you kill it, it's got that nasty odor like someone died, like what you shared earlier. Okay.
He just died.
He did just die. That's what's going on in your mouth. The VSCs are dying and they're popping like stink bugs. And you can just imagine what one smells. So imagine all of them together and they're just popping like pop rocks. Back and I'm taking us back. So think about that. So then you blow that on people. And did you ever know this? People always go, hey,
Well, that's the
how are you? It's like the H. When they start doing the H and they're blowing you away with their breath, it is okay in oral malodor etiquette, OME, you back away. It's okay to back away. That's not offensive, because otherwise you're going to never make the face like, oh, don't do that.
What died in here?
Yeah, that could hurt someone's feelings. I mean, that could, and it could ruin a date, I mean.
I don't date anymore. So
No, but you're still married, so
Yeah,
you
but
don't
my
want
wi-
Heather to do that.
But my wife will tell me.
That's,
You need
that's good.
You need a mint. she will tell me if there's a problem. That's
Yes.
why I love my wife, because she will tell me.
Another thing, post-nasal drip, xerostomia, so dry mouth will cause bad breath. Speakers, you're on the platform, you're speaking all the time, you may not have water, and that's the other thing to consider. You really want to make sure that you're going to hydrate. I cannot express that enough. Hydrate, hydrate,
Oh,
hydrate.
good, because we're in Phoenix, so that's all I've been doing and all I will be doing for the next 4 days.
And it's only like 115 out. So, just to help out with that. The other thing to consider is a lot of people who still have have their tonsils could get tonsil stones. So that's basically a lot of bacteria that's just or a film. So when you swallow, we're swallowing and
Yeah.
stuff, and it collects in the cute little McDonald's arches in the back of your throat. And then what happens, it hardens. And then when it hardens, it just becomes so sulfuric, it's disgusting. And then sometimes you have to try to get that. It's hard for that person. It's really hard to remove those. But that could be a cause for bad breath too. Acid reflux,
Sure. that makes more
bulimia,
sense.
anorexia.
Well, yes, if you're constantly throwing up.
Yes, people
that
who
would-
take medications, like me, for I take Vyvanse, ADD, a lot of squirrel happenings, antidepressants, anti-anxiety, a lot of stuff like blood pressure, heart medications can dry your mouth out. And as speakers, I think we just don't realize that. And then we go to talk to our attendees, and you could, if you want the sell them. You don't want to sell them on your bad breath. You don't want to blow them away with that. So look for products that don't have alcohol in them. That would be my first thing. So oral malodor etiquette, 1, back away kindly. And then you can offer them a mint. But if you're going to offer them a mint, make sure it's not sugar, because the sugar will feed.
we don't need no one's promoting, and I certainly am not getting a sponsorship check, but is there something that we
I'm
can
not
use?
getting one either, just saying.
But is there something that we can use? Because I think a lot of people are going to go right to the drugstore or to the grocery store, get the Eclipse gum, and get the stuff that say sugar-free, but it may not necessarily be.
I would say look for at least the first ingredient, I don't know, like on the packages of gum, but at least have xylitol in it. That would be the first thing. Even if you're looking for breaths over the counter, which I know is another one of if you're looking over the counter, a lot of the fresh breath products that you can place in your mouth that are like either a liquid, something to give you this quick little
or a
zap.
Listerine strip or something.
It's got alcohol in it. And what's that going to do? It's going to dry. You're going to blow more people. You're going to blow them away by the acre.
Because that's apparently, so the alcohol only works like in the first 4 seconds. So how long does that last? Like not very long, obviously. But
Alcohol doesn't even kill the volatiles. It doesn't even help with that. It's there to help stabilize the other ingredients.
But we know if you take one, I know your breath's going to smell okay for
a second.
Immediately. So
Yeah.
How long do those
So if
things
you're
last?
trying to sell yourself to somebody, you better get that in a tweet.
Oh.
And don't say the H word. Have it in the tweet and get it out there. The thing to look for is it's okay to offer someone a mint or a gum, but also I would take one myself. I would definitely look for xylitol. I would look for the other ingredients in them. If they have any natural, that's the best. I think natural, honestly, is like peppermint oil. Chewing parsley is supposed to be very, very good for you. But basically,
You can't keep that in your pocket when you're speaking.
no, you can't. But there's BreathRx is a product that's good. Philips Sonicare makes that. There is, I personally like Closis, and that's over the counter. They make a quick breath spray that you can use, and it doesn't have alcohol in it. You want to make sure that the ingredients and stuff go with what you're looking for. Having bad breath doesn't mean that you have disease. Yet it could mean that. So you
You're
want to,
disease-ridden vermin
here
with
at
your bad
NSA, we're going
breath.
to do the best that we can. But just to know, likely most of us are going to be talking, we need to hydrate, number one. So I would say etiquette-wise, I'd offer a drink to somebody and say, hey, can I get you a glass of water or a mint? Now you're going to be looking out to see who I, supply this to. Spry is another company that has gum, and that actually does help. It doesn't last long because xylitol is not meant to last long. So if you're looking for flavor, that's not it. So you need to know what you're getting into for that. And a lot of people don't know what they're looking for over the counter. They just think, it's in my eye level. I'm going to get it. And that may not treat the problem.
Well, the last thing I want to talk about, because we don't have much time, because we
have fun.
We have a packed schedule, and now we have a lot of pressure to be live. You wanted to talk about Oral-B Genius. Now, I know Oral-B
Yes.
because Oral-B is a lot on my toothbrushes. Mm-hmm. What is Oral-B Genius? Is it a special type of toothbrush, or is it something else?
Oh, this is so cool. I had the opportunity to actually go to Barcelona. They unveiled it at it's the Mobile World Congress event. So a lot of toothbrushes are going with Bluetooth right now. So a lot of them have an app. And that's my thing with kids, right?
So wait a second. Hold on. Back the crazy train up for a second.
Are you saying I'm crazy?
Well, no, what you just said didn't make any sense to me at all. The toothbrush people are going with apps and Bluetooth. How does that? How do the two work with your mouth? Because is your toothbrush wireless? I don't know what you're. When you say it's
toothbrush
Bluetooth,
actually communicates with the app. So I don't know how it does it, but it's Bluetooth
but
technology. So you have to download the app.
What is it sensing?
That's the thing. Okay, so get this.
Okay, so now I get it. So
Yeah.
there's something in the toothbrush
Yes.
that is being transmitted via Bluetooth to your app.
Yes.
Now I know. Now
Yes.
it makes more sense. Okay,
so you
go
have
ahead.
to download the app, which is super cool. So what happens is it's it's got this position detection technology. So they came out with Oral-B 5000. It was a couple of years ago.
Missionary?
It's super cool. So here's like their first series was it would blink if you were brushing too hard. And many of us brush too hard anyway. So your gums will recede, or in layman's terms, they'll shrink back. You'll get long in the tooth.
Maybe that's what I do with my hair. I brush my hair too hard and it's receding.
Maybe. I got nothing.
That makes perfect sense now. I'm going to very lightly brush my hair now.
You know, maybe that could be it. I don't know.
But the position is a big deal.
It is.
Well,
here's the deal. We're supposed to brush for 2 minutes, right? So Oral-B, their research and development team,
quadrant.
they decided if yes,
That's what
yes. So it's one of those things where you're like, okay, this is great, and they listen to you, but they would let you know that you brushed too hard, and then the light would go off. So that was awesome. This one, however, most of us are only brushing for 45 seconds, and they took a test. So like I'm in the dental field, people. I mean, 28 years in it. I'm thinking I'm really good. So I had myself at like 84%. I thought I'll just let it go. Did the Oral-B? You go around, so the position detection technology actually knows the pressure that you put on. It knows where you went in your mouth, and it follows you. And actually, it's face recognition. So you have a suction cup that's given to you, and you place it on your mirror. It's so cool.
This is very invasive.
I'm
starting to worry about NSA. Now I'm worried about Oral-B.
No, you know what? Your health is worth it. So there's a lot of other things that people do that are invasive that does not contribute to their health. So I'm just saying, invest in you. That's what I'm saying. There we go. It's the highway to health. And I'm just asking people to join me on the highway to health. So what happens is, after this app does it, it'll tell you where you missed. So you go back and you brush where you missed. And then it'll communicate with your dental hygienist. It communicates with your dentist. And what's really cool is we can keep tabs. And so when you come in to see me, I look at your app and I can say, you know what, Craig, you're, around your premolar, I need you to spend a little bit more time here. And then I can communicate in the app with you. And, we make a note. It's not like I follow you home, creepy things like that. That doesn't happen. But it's really great technology to be proactive and engaging and interactive with what's going on with you. So we don't look like we are lecturing. It's informative. It's funformation.
So the days of like waiting till 2 days before and then brushing constantly for like 3 days before your appointment because you've not done a damn thing for 6 months?
Come on, man.
Those days are over?
No, because they still exist.
But no,
if you use the Genius, I will know because it will tell you. I mean, even... And Genius comes out in the fall. So I'm giving you, this is news. New. This is news. Yes, it's not out yet. It's coming out.
If they'd like to sponsor us, send me one and I will gladly testimonial.
There you go. I can give you a connection.
Yeah. Hey, we don't make money at the podcast.
This podcast.
We don't make money at the podcast, but we will gladly take free crap.
It's not crap. It's not crap.
You know what I mean.
I do know what you mean, but I'm just, things for your health.
Even if it's not for health, we'll take free candy.
There you go. Whatever it is. Here's what is very cool is the fact that you get this app, you download it, it follows, we can monitor you, so we're on your team. So instead of us just looking like lecturers and people who just like, how much are you going to dig for today? Or what are you taking out of there? We're your advocate and we're with you on your team because our job is to make sure that your life is healthy because you're under our care. So we just want to make things a little bit easier, and Oral-B actually did that. So it communicates. The other day I had, and this was off of their other app, it told me to replace my toothbrush head. So do you do that, or does Heather just replace your toothbrushes?
Well, no, Heather's not 100% responsible for my life. She just...
Well, I'm sure she goes out and gets your toothbrushes.
No, I get them from my dentist because I go every 6 months, and they usually last about 6 months,
that's when you do it. It does unless you're sick. Obviously you got to replace that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but if you're a normal person who's not like a creep, got a weird mouth thing, 6 months is a good toothbrush. So I get a new toothbrush from I know usually a nice little Oral-B from my dentist.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to do it 90 days, every 90 days.
Every 90 days?
Yeah, every 90 days.
And then of course, we talked about that, the 3,000 thread count toothbrush.
Yes.
Am I supposed to get a hard toothbrush or a soft toothbrush?
Soft.
Is Oral...
Great question. Yeah.
Are these Geniuses soft ones? Silky smooth?
The Genius is I don't know how many bristles that they actually have in there. It's an electric toothbrush.
So I don't have an electric toothbrush. I'm old school manual.
Yeah. I mean, I love manual, as you know. And the Curepox was the other one. It had 5,460 toothbrush bristles, which is the only one that does have that. I don't know what the others do have. I just know that is like a thread count, which is a great analogy. So I use that for you. The electric toothbrush, though, is amazing. So what do we got? Oh, there's Heather.
New toothbrushes for everyone. My wife says new toothbrushes.
See?
You know what? I bet when I get home,
Yes.
new toothbrushes for
See?
us.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Heather. I'm just saying. But yeah, so it's an electric toothbrush. And what happens is, yes, it'll tell you to replace your toothbrush head. And actually, David and I were traveling, and it was really crazy because every time I turned it on, it was like, will you please replace your toothbrush head? Replace your toothbrush head. And I was like,
like the check engine
wow,
light.
that's really cool because, I chase squirrels all the time. I'd forget to chase the squirrel. Never. But I find that helpful because I'm in the industry and I forget to do it. So I'm certain my patients and other people forget to do it too. So I think that's really helpful. But to know how hard you're brushing, to know where you're going to remove the plaque, that's the big thing. And I think that's the value for this, and nobody else does it.
Well, always a pleasure to have you every
Thank
year.
you.
And I hope you come back next year as well.
Yes.
Like I said, congratulations on your newlywed. So next year you
Yes.
won't be a newlywed anymore because it's only the first year.
Aw, every day is bright and new.
But where can people find you if they want to learn more? Where can they get all your information?
Oh, well, on Facebook, you can find me. It's Anastasia RDH, so think of registered dental hygienist. And my website, Turchetta,
Which we will link.
.com. Yes, that'll be awesome.
Because to spell it, to listen to it, I can't do that.
It's a lot. I know it's a lot. YouTube, it's registered dental. It's Anastasia RDH. So all of my social stuff is that. But if you want more, it's AnastasiaTurchetta.com. And thank you for having me because it's super important to encourage people to join us on the highway to health because honestly, it's the only way that we truly can take what you learn and make a difference with it.
Well, I will see you in September when I get to stay at the
Awesome.
palatial new home of the newlyweds.
Yes, and meet Gibbs.
And meet Gibbs, the wonder dog.
That's it. It sounds great. Thank you for your time and this
thank you.
opportunity.
That's the show. Congrats to Anastasia and David on their nuptials. I wish you both all the happiness in the world. Also, follow the show on Twitter @RealityCheckPod. Like the Facebook page and email comments, questions, and guest suggestions to Craig at speakercraigprice.com. See you next week.